What's going on, y'all? This is John Allsace with Facemask Fantasy. We got new up-to-date fantasy content coming your way every day on this channel, so if you have not subscribed already, then please hit that button. But before we get into our main topic for today, my co-host Nick Payne put in a ton of work to give you guys a free 2021 Redraft draft kit available on our website, which can be found at facemaskpod.com. It's a great piece of content, something that other analysts might be charging you for, but we're giving it to you for free. So without further ado, let's get into some fantasy talk. And today I want to talk about Qadree Ollison. Honestly, I never thought that I'd be wanting to talk about Qadree Ollison, but here we are, because he's listed as the RB2 on the Falcons' initial depth chart. And right now, he's in position to take over the backfield should Mike Davis miss time in 2021. Now, fantasy players are finally getting some clarity on this team's backfield pecking order as the Falcons entered the 2021 season with a lead back who's never had more than 156 rushes in a season. Yes, we're talking about Mike Davis here, but I find myself wondering, who is Qadree Ollison, and does this amount to any potential fantasy value for you? Now, the Falcons selected Qadree Ollison with the 152nd overall pick in the 2019 NFL Draft. He came into the league as a fifth rounder, 6'1", 228 pounds. In his freshman year in college, he carried the rock 212 times for 1,121 yards and 11 touchdowns while filling in for James Conner. He took the backseat over the next 2 seasons before coming around to the forefront again with 194 rushes for 1,213 yards and 11 touchdowns again, this time as a senior. Now, he was thought of as a reach in the 5th round due to his below average athleticism, but he's managed to stick around the NFL. In Atlanta, he's outlasted Devonta Freeman, Tevin Coleman, Brian Hill, Ito Smith, and Kenjon Barner in his first season, and in 2020 he hung around as the last running back on this roster in a room headlined by Todd Gurley, with Ito Smith and Brian Hill ahead of him on the depth chart. He's still hung around. But to say Ollison is unproven is an understatement. He's coming into his 3rd year in the NFL and he's never had more than 8 carries in an NFL game. But he's been working as Atlanta's 2nd running back all throughout training camp. With an older back like Mike Davis as the running back 1 for this team, it would make sense for this team to utilize a true goal line back to keep Mike Davis from being used as a battering ram. I believe they want to use Davis in space and in the passing game. Davis logged 15 games last season, and in those 15 games, he played 557 snaps, piled up 165 rushing attempts, on which he gained 642 yards and 6 touchdowns, while also racking up 59 passes for 373 yards and 2 more touchdowns. On the way to those numbers, Davis broke 21 tackles, tied for 4th most last year, and he basically broke a tackle 1 every 7.9 rushing attempts, and that was the highest rate in the NFL. He had 244 yards before contact and 398 yards after contact. Now, I believe Arthur Smith, coming over from Tennessee, believes that they can approximate, and I use that term loosely, Derrick Henry's value to his team last season in Davis and Ollison. Davis is the guy who can take it to the house with a good chance of getting chunk plays whenever he touches the ball, and Ollison is just a huge guy on the team they will likely use in goal line situations that nobody wants to stop, because again, he's 6'1", 228 pounds. He's a big guy. Now, this is a team that led the league in pass attempts last season, but Todd Gurley also had the 7th most rushes in the league from within 5 yards of the end zone with 14. Only Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, Kenyon Drake, Josh Jacobs, and Derrick Henry had more red zone rushes than Gurley did last season from the running back position. The year prior, Ollison actually led the Atlanta Falcons in red zone rushes in his first year with 5. He was the primary goal line back for this team as a rookie, so it's clear they already trust him in that role from the front office's standpoint. And while this is a new coaching regime here, with Arthur Smith coming over from Tennessee, the offseason moves match up with Ollison locking up the goal line role. JAVIAN Hawkins at 5'9", 183 pounds ain't taking that role, and Cordell Patterson ain't either. And Mike Davis, I believe he has another role in this offense entirely. So what's this mean for fantasy production? I'm hesitant to project a ton of work for Ollison, but injuries hit the NFL fast, and injuries hit the running back position sometimes the hardest. We saw it last season with CMC and the Mike Davis situation. We saw it this offseason thus far with Cam Akers, and more recently with Travis Etienne. It's tough to say he's more than a dart throw for a TD if Mike Davis were to stay healthy all season, but if Mike Davis were to see any time on the sidelines, I believe Ollison would get first crack at the first down and second down work, as well as the goal line work, with most likely Hawkins and Patterson filling in on the third down role, at which point Ollison would likely project as a low-end flex with RB2 upside. Again, we have to temper our expectations. He's not Mike Davis. He's not going to be used in the passing game. He's not shifty. He's not an athlete at the NFL level. Remember, 11th percentile athleticism, 5.85 40 for a running back. Not great numbers, but he does have the trust of the coaching staff, and sometimes that's all that matters. So in fantasy, in season-long leagues, I believe Qadree Ollison is a low-end handcuff, and while I do not know if he has enough worth to deserve a roster spot unless you're in a really deep league, he's definitely a watch list guy. Now in Dynasty, I do believe he deserves a spot on someone's roster. He should not be on the wire. So if you do see him out there, pick him up if you got a spot. Last year, I did this in one of my most important Dynasty leagues prior to the season with Mike Davis, and I got a few funny comments from other owners in the league, but fast forward a few weeks and I look like the smartest person on earth. So season long, he's a watch this guy. Dynasty, if he's on the wire, pick him up if you can and maybe get him as a throw-in in a trade. It's worth it for the potential upside too, but keep in mind that he might be a one-year experiment at the position because he's not a long-term asset in Dynasty as a running back, because let's be real, running back is the most devalued and replaceable position in the NFL, and he's a former reach in the 5th round by all accounts who carried undrafted free agent capital prior to being drafted, and he does carry that below average athleticism for the position. So he's not a high-end backup, but again, the coaching staff trusts him, at least for this season. So if injury does strike, you could have a solid flex option, solid RB3 on your team with RB2 upside. So what do you think about Qadree Ollison? Put your thoughts in the comments section below. My name is John Alsace, and this is Facemask Fantasy. We bring you new up-to-date fantasy content right here on this channel, so if you have not hit the subscribe button, please do. Thank you for listening and have a great day.